So I want to say this, right? This is when I keep trying to tell my people that you can allow these people to play stupid, dumb, and foolish with you all you want. But they all know the truth and they all realizing that they were puppets. And the only reason why they realizing that they were puppets, right? Because they thought this day right now in which we are living in, they thought this day right here was never going to come. They thought the sun was going to continue to rise yellow and golden. The sun was never going to turn white and emit on a different type of energy, an energy that they cannot synthesize. They didn't think that the moon and the sun would be in the sky at the same time and the moon is rotating at 180 degrees. They didn't think that the moon, the sun, and the stars would switch positions. They didn't think that the radiation level would increase so dramatically on this planet that it would change in a rapid pace. It took them hundreds of years, hundreds of thousands of years. It took them over 200,000 years to get us in the conditions that we are in today to make us believe that we are humans, niggers, bad bitches, thoughts, and everything. It's going to take this 7-year tribulation to put everything back. The golden age. Here we go.
And that Saddam Hussein rejected the Rothschild banking cabal. He rejected the central bankers.
That's what that was all about?
Yeah, he wanted his own system of monetary exchange outside of the central banks. We can't have that shit.
Right.
Guess who else did that? JFK.
I was going to ask you about
Guess who else did that? Muammar Gaddafi.
Yeah.
Guess who's doing that now? Vladimir Putin. Gotta have regime change. Because we can't have this rejection of the central banks, because that's what's required for the ushering in of the one world governance, the Great Reset, Agenda 2030, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
The New World Order. The Hold the Pale Horse. You know, that is every single military intervention that we have been in has been funded by the Rothschilds. So,
Banking system.
yeah. So just think about that. The bankers tell us when to open our borders. The bankers tell us when transgenderism should be accepted. The bankers tell us when we're facing systemic racism and when to riot. We don't do anything with or without the permission of the bankers.
And this is why I say if you actually go back and trace the money and how money was created and invented in the first place, you will always go back to the fake royal family and understand and overstand from a genetic point of view. You would know that no race on this planet, this has to do with the Asian race, the Arab race, as well as the white race. Now, the white race and the Arab race is pretty much the same. The Asian race is different from them, obviously, because they use a different monkey. However, but they still the same. They are a genetic mutation, a genetic splice. They're not even a mutation. So it's really sad to say that. They're not a mutation. They are a genetic experiment. They actually were fused. They actually took the DNA of different species and fused them together to make one living organism, which is unnatural. And that fuse that they use, that atom, that nucleus in the center of their cell, that fusion is going bye-bye now. So therefore, that's why their phenotype, that's why they're changing. And then when we go back and we look at the fake Rothschild and the rest of their family, they're connected to what? That suit that these people have, the white, they've created white people to be able to replicate but not think for themselves. They created them to be violent because they use 96 to 98% of DNA of a species that is naturally violent as it when it in its adulthood. As a child is not as violent, but as in its adulthood, it becomes very violent. It becomes very spontaneous. It becomes very erratic. It doesn't think before it reacts. It becomes very territorial. This is natural. So when you study the genetics and then you study the species in which these people were genetically spliced with to be created, you will start to see, especially in their history, the habits of that animal. So look at chimpanzees. Chimpanzees would try to sleep with different animals. They're very nasty. They jerk off anywhere. They throw shit at you at the zoo. That's why the monkeys and gorillas are behind glass windows. They're not just behind cages. They are behind glass windows because they already know what they would do, and understand and overstand the same characteristics and behavior of those species are displayed in the very species that supposedly is the leading race on this planet. They're the same characteristics. and we sit there and turn a blindfold to it. Why? Because we don't want to accept genetics. We don't want to realize that genetics is directly connected to your psychological state of mind, how you process information and how you react to it. And just because you see 1 or 2 or 3 white people or complex cells acting like they got some sense doesn't mean that's represent the entirety of their fucking species, because even them that got sense are really suppressing some of the things that they do out behind closed doors, or the thoughts that they think about. They are suppressing them and wondering, why am I thinking like that? However, let me tell you something right now. Because of the new frequency that's coming into the planet, it's making them even harder to suppress that. That 1p36 chromosome, that right there is going to be deleted from them. And when that chromosome is get deleted, you are really going to see this beast act out. Abundance and gratitude to you all.